Welcome everyone to Immigrant Bazaar, our weekly show prepared by immigrants for immigrants. And as usual, your host is me, Anwar.
And my name is Bahram.
Anwar and Bahram as hosts. And as usual, we try to touch on subjects that are most interesting for immigrants. And one of those subjects is going into real estate as a career, as becoming a real estate agent. So for that, we have actually found a very successful real estate agent, originally from Uzbekistan. She lives in Northern Virginia. Her name is Dilyara Daminova. Hi, Dilyara.
Hi.
So I'll give a little bit of background. Dilyara is licensed in DC area, Virginia, and Maryland states. And she's been recognized by many outlets, including Washingtonian Magazine, Real Producers Magazine, and so on and so forth. She's actually proven to be a top 1% real estate producer. So in terms of statistics, she's at the top of her field. So without further ado, please, Dilyara, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Dilyara Daminova, and as Anwar said that I'm from Washington, DC. I came into real estate career 9 years ago, and I love it since then. I think it's an amazing industry to be in. And my whole family is in real estate. My husband is a mortgage officer who's actually giving loans for those who's ready to buy. And my son just recently became a realtor who's 18. So yeah, we fully live and breathe real estate.
Awesome. So I know that we have prepared a lot of questions. This is a very interesting subject. As immigrants come to the States, they look for different opportunities, and real estate field is a little different in the United States. So I think people would have a lot of questions as to how to get into this field and what to do initially, at least.
Exactly, Anwar, I agree. And I'll pick up with some questions. Dilyara, first of all, welcome to our show. It's we are honored and privileged to have you on our show. So I'll start with the first question in regards to the career itself. So can you tell us about what are the requirements to get a real estate agent certification, I guess, and how being able to start selling, and what are expenses associated with those requirements?
Well, it depends on state to state. The requirements are that you have to have at least high school diploma education, and you have to be at least 18 years old. A lot of real estate schools, a lot of agencies give your education almost for free. So you can take basically classes to get a real estate license for, I believe I spent around $250. So it's very, very cheap path. It's very cheap. The tests are very hard. So it's not hard to get into real estate business and get the license in real estate. The hardest part comes after you get licensed.
So the exam for license, to get the license, is it hard? Do you have to prepare for it for a long time?
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to know English certainly, because tests are not easy. The test for the real estate exam is even hard for English speakers. So if you believe you don't speak and you don't understand English enough, don't even waste your time to get into trying to get the license. Because to get a real estate license, you have to know English at really, really good level. When I got into real estate school, I already finished my MBA in United States. So I went through reading a lot of books. I went through a very tough education. It's not easy to get a degree here. And when you get an MBA, you can't even get C. So like, imagine how much I was preparing myself. So even though I passed my MBA with high degrees, it was very hard for me to pass real estate test. I actually failed 2 times before I passed.
Oh, wow.
So it's not easy. It's very easy to get, and it's maybe easy for Native American speakers, but not easy for us as immigrants. So if you really want to be a realtor, but you think your English is not at the level when you understand at least everything, that's not the right path and not right the time for you at least to get into this career, because license is very, very complicated. The only easy way to get license, I heard, is in Florida, because Florida allows sometimes remote test, which all states do not allow. You have to come in person. They make sure there's a camera. They make sure like no one can see how you're taking a test. And what other, basically that's the path. You have to be fluent in English before you decide to be a realtor.
Is there like schools to study for the test that prepare you for the test, or is it just by yourself?
So if you want to be a realtor, you can go to any real estate office, any. There's a lot of nationwide offices, White-Earth, Keller Williams. I'm sure you saw the signs in there. So you can locate any real estate office and you can walk in and say, I want to be a realtor. So a lot of offices a lot of locations, they offer real estate classes. The reason why they offer is because the real estate career is very short. A lot of people say that people don't stay in real estate for more than 10 years. I'll explain you later why, but it is true. And so those offices, they constantly teach people, they constantly teach staff to bring in realtors into the staff. So that's how I started. I just noticed real estate office in downtown. I just walked away and I said, I want to be a realtor. What do I do? So they gave me the instructions. They gave me how to register within their office. A lot of times they make you sign contract, like to stay with the office for 6 months or 12 months after you finish, if they pay for you. But just remember, I picked that I'm gonna pay for myself, which was only $250. I didn't want to obligate myself for $250 to work with someone for 1 year. So, but I gotta tell you now, as an experienced agent, those offices that offer you training, they're actually really good offices to stay with for the first year, because they continue training you after you get licensed. So you can either walk to any of those offices and tell that you want to be a realtor. They're gonna guide you through what to do the next, or you can register online, just Google online. I cannot speak for particular website because we're all in different states, but if you Google real estate classes online, you can also find online. As an agent, I see the failures in online classes, because when you train face-to-face, it's much more different, and it's a lot of things to remember, a lot of things to train on. So I highly recommend training in person if you're gonna decide to get into that licensing classes.
Okay, so one question I want to clarify, I guess you said, so basically pretty much, it was one of our questions, I think you touched on it. So anybody who wants to start, they always have to start with a known nationwide brokerage, right? They cannot just go on their own, right? They finish the exam, they pass the exam on their own, they pay like you paid on your own. They still have to go.
No, no, because every single realtor works on the broker, and I explain what the brokerage in real estate is. So the broker is the office. Broker is the actually a company that can hire realtors. Every single realtor in every state has to work on the brokerage, just because they need to have that control. Broker controls realtors. Let's say my client is not happy, who he can go to and complain about me to my broker. So broker basically a controlling platform of realtors. So you have to be assigned to the brokerage. You cannot work as an independent realtor. You have to work as a realtor assigned to the brokerage, under the broker. The real estate agent can only work under the broker. It's just because realtor needs to have that control. It just because it is the way the system works. You can become a broker and work for yourself. You can become a broker and realtor, but I'll explain why a lot of realtors don't do that, including me, is because when you broker, people can go and complain about you to the state. Once you get one complaint, most of the times your license is gone. Realtors don't want that risk. Realtors want people to complain to the broker, and then broker's just gonna slap on a wrist and you're done, right? So that's basically extra protection for the realtors to be on the broker is much better than for the realtor to be broker themselves. To become, if you decide to become a broker, you have to be experienced realtor who actually closes deals for 3 years, and then you can become a broker. I can become a broker if I want. I just don't want. I can build teams within my team, so I can build a team under my broker, and no realtor is going to be in my team. So I don't see any ways for me to become broker other than lose that protection, lose that extra layer of protection. So that's the difference. A lot of people confuse. They think if they're going to work with broker, it's more experienced person, or they're going to think they're going to work with realtor, it's less experienced person. That's not true. A lot of brokers, they're only they want to be brokers. They want to sit in the office and manage other realtors, so they become brokers. But that doesn't mean that that broker is more experienced than the realtor is who's out there meeting people. So that's the difference.
Interesting.
Makes sense. Oh, go ahead.
Interesting. So yeah, coming back to our original question. So, let's say someone comes as an immigrant, a fresh immigrant, they're curious about real estate. Maybe they have some experience back at home, which is probably different from what there is here in the United States. What kind of personality types do you think, what should be the expectation? Is it an easy job to take on and, you become successful? Like, I'm sure if it was that easy, there'll be millions of real estate agents out there. So could you give a little background of what kind of personal profile fits into this job?
Well, I'll start from that. I know thousands of Russian-speaking realtors from the former USSR in our area. We're not hundreds. We're thousands. And I'm only going to tell that basically succeed. I'm the only one who succeed on the level when I'm a top producing agent. The reason why that business is really, really hard, you cannot be by yourself in that business. The reason why I'm telling is why I cannot be. I got lucky, and it's not all my success that I achieved that much. It's actually came that I met right people and right teams that got me. So you always have to be a team player, even though it's a self-employed job. So you gotta split the work. I see a lot of agents, especially from our culture, coming to the real estate business, and they just by themselves. They just lonely, and it really does not give them success. They may be close to 3 deals a year, but that's it. And you can't feed your family with closing 2-3 deals a year. So the skills you need to have is basically communication skill. You have to develop thick skin in customer service, because you have to remember, people are not always happy for buying or selling. A lot of times you're going to sell properties for the people who passed away, for the people who get through divorce. So you get through a lot. You basically dig in and you go through the process with them. How many times I saw wife and husband fighting, and I'm sitting in the middle. I cannot take sides, right? So you have to have a thick skin and a customer service. You cannot take real estate transactions personally, that somebody hurts your feelings or anything. That's not about you. You're not going to marry that person. You're only going to deal with that person for 2-3 months, and that's it. You have to stop counting income until you close the deal. A lot of people, I got deal on the transaction, and they think they're counting the income. No, you have to stop doing it. So basically, you need to be not greedy when you get into this transaction, because a lot of people who's looking for the house, in the process, they get cold feet. They don't want to look for the house anymore. A lot of people who get divorced, they hired you, you did all the job, you sent professional photographer, and then in a week they call you, we have a good news, we're together now, we decided not to sell house, right? So you come to the end. So you have to be kind of person about people, like put income. Obviously all of us need income, all of us need, we need to provide to the families. That's why I found it so easy. I made it about people just because my husband worked and my husband made this money. And that's what basically brought me as a successful realtor to the career, because people know I'm not gold digger and I'm not trying to close transactions with them. So I found that a lot of people who came to the business after certain careers, actually more experienced in life, they are more successful versus young people who just start their life. For example, my son is a realtor. My son just turned 18 years old. He grew up in a real estate family. We always talk about real estate because my husband is in the same business. And he wanted to be a realtor, but he can't close a single deal. He's already a realtor for 4 months and he can't succeed. He basically helps me out. He shows properties to my clients, but as a single agent, he can't succeed. So that takes time. And the best advice I got from old realtor when I got my license, and I took his advice seriously, he said, take this career for the first 5 years as a hobby, where you sometimes making money. So that's basically for the first 5 years, that career is a hobby. Like if you just gotta love it in the beginning before you actually make money, before you have it as your job.
Yeah, well, very interesting, Dilyara. So just to step back on a little bit on what you said earlier in regards to you said that focus on not just making money but having the nice relationship with your customers, whether they're ending up to be good for you or bad for you, right? Sometimes they may give up on you and they leave. So one question on I know you, as Anwar mentioned, you top 1% producer in the Northern Virginia area. So you're very successful and you've been awarded many different rewards, I guess. So one question is, how do you balance, you mother of children, right? So how do you balance work and life and career in terms of, I know, knowing that for you have your husband as well working in real estate. How do you balance taking care of your kids, making sure that they are they have their own time with their mom, at the same time being there for your clients, and your job is not necessarily 8 to 5 kind of job, like office job, right? You get a call here, you get a call there, So how do you balance that? What is the trick for you?
Well, it all came slowly as the load of job was coming. I was managing my family situation. I'm mother of 4, and the oldest one is 18, so I'm done with him. But basically, I have a live-in nanny who lives with us always, so she takes care of my youngest child. I have 18 years old. I have 8 years old daughter. I have almost 4 years old son, and I have 1.5-year-old baby. And so basically, we have live-in nanny who takes care of my child. The 4 years old, he goes to the child care, and like Monday through Friday, he's over there. He doesn't need us as much anymore. And the 8 years old, she's at school. And I do have cleaning company that comes to my house once a week and cleans the house. I decided that at that point, my time is more expensive than sit for one day and clean I would have 4 bathrooms in the house. So I thought I'm killing 2 full days if I'll clean the house. So instead, I'm gonna get cleaning company, and then I have all this time to work on. So yeah, another thing, our community grew a lot, our Russian-speaking community. So our taste will like our traditional foods. So I have around a lot of ladies that cook. So I thought, how much it takes of time for me to stay and prepare the meal, good meal, right? If you want a manti, it's gonna take you half day of prepare them. But my time is expensive. So I can hire someone to make those manti. So I have that time. So my husband is American. He's not particular about food. So I have people who's actually preparing meals for us as well. That way I chipped off all the household job to someone else. Plus my husband has a happy wife because I'm not tired. I'm doing the job I love. And Sunday is only to ourselves. We don't work on Sunday, both. So we spend every Sunday, we make it special about kids. We always come up with something. Our kids love Sunday. And I was thinking back, I remember back myself as a woman when I didn't work and I stayed home. To be honest, as a woman, I was very stressed. I had only 1 child, but I never had one full day that I could give to my child. I had to prepare, I had to clean, I had to cook and cook again and clean again. So it's actually amazing that right now I have a whole Sunday where I can spend with kids. Plus evenings, just like any other parent who comes from work, we spend time with kids and we're watching TV. So our kids do not have any time that they don't spend with us. They don't miss us. And plus, I grew up in a family where my two parents worked really hard. Besides that, they had daytime jobs, they had nighttime jobs. And I mean, it's very hard 1990s when they worked all the time. That's how I remembered my parents. And I strongly don't believe that mother has to babysit child 24 hours. I completely disagree with that concept because my children grew up very independent. They're A students and they have their lives to themselves. And plus, I'm satisfied when they're older. I have job to do and I can let them go. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
So just following up on that, it seems like, so you pushed all that work and you're dedicating a lot of your time. So how much is a lot? Like normally from, if it was a job like from 8 to 5, you have a fixed like 40-hour week.
Yeah, in actually in 2019, I sold 70 homes, and I was so tired during the at the end of the year. I thought no way a single person. Even last year I was #1 producing agent by the amount I sold. But I thought that's it. That's the max person can achieve as a single person. You cannot sell as a single realtor more than 70 homes. Absolutely. So this year I got more organized. I actually added sport to my life and I still have time to sport. So I said I need to be on strict schedule so I can achieve everything. And this year from until 10 a.m. it's only my time, my kids' time, sport time, and I feed kids. I take them to the daycare. Everything that mother's supposed to do, my husband doesn't do it. So I take care of kids in the morning. By 10 o'clock, I'm ready to work. From 10 to 1, I actually do paperwork. And I hired a transaction coordinator. So I have a person who's doing a lot of paperwork for me on my files. But besides that, I make calls that I need to make. I make sure I follow up on offers that I send for my clients. So from 10 to 1, I basically in the office. From afternoon, in the afternoon, I always show homes. I show homes until 6, max 7. And if it's really needed, until 7. But normally by 6 o'clock, I'm done. And that's it. In a day, my paperwork is done. I show the homes I needed. Everything is done. At 6 o'clock, I drive home and I belong to my family. So I prepare meals again, maybe for next day, like make sure they have clothes for the next day, just what mothers do it. And that's.
But I guess you need to control it. Otherwise, your job, you can get calls. Like if you don't control it, I guess you can just go too far into it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we talk about how to be successful, what it takes to be successful and all those things. But so the other question I had was, who should actually not do this job? Who does not belong to to the real estate agent career? Who's there that they shouldn't even try? I know you briefly mentioned, but can you talk more about like certain skills?
People with short temper absolutely cannot do that job. You cannot fake your attitude. If you have short temper, if you getting upset very quick, that job is not for you because you're gonna see it a lot in that career. A lot of I can say greedy people. If you're in a life situation when you need money, you need like some job where you need to make money, that's not a career where you should jump in because that's a slow career, slow development career. You're not gonna instantly make money with that career. No, it's not happening to anyone. Then that's basically unexperienced people. If you don't have experience in customer service, especially American customer service, not our customer service. Let's say you work in a restaurant, you work in a retailing stores, then that's good for you because you already went through some customer service. They teach you angry management, they teach you how to smooth people out. Just go to like 6 months and work in a restaurant, because that's, I always call real estate as a restaurant job, because anything that happens in a transaction, you actually have over 21 people work on one transaction, over 21 people, but your client will never know that. They only see you, they only talk to you. So you basically a server at the restaurant who they talk to. If food comes cold, if food comes delayed, it's always server's fault. They don't leave tips to the server, right? So you're a server in a real estate career. 21 people work on a file, but if something goes wrong, they're gonna call you and they're gonna tell you that they're upset with that. Even though it's completely different, it can be loan, it can be title company that like you have nothing to do with their job. You have to deliver, you have to keep it in loop. So that's why you need to have customer service. You need to know how to deal with customer service. So if you don't feel like being a server is not your personality, being working in retail store is not your personality, that you will never do that, then real estate is the same way. It's not for you.
Yeah, so switching gears, I think this is a very important point because the concept of customer service is very different, even from one culture to another. We all come from post-Soviet area, and customer service is very different there. That philosophy. So I'm curious, your immigrant background, did it actually help in your career, or was it a detriment, kind of a burden? For an immigrant, is it a positive thing or a negative thing, you think?
It's absolutely not helping. 100%. Every time I get a client, I have to prove them that I actually worth to be their realtor, and I have to kill them with my knowledge. And I do win them a lot, but it comes with experience when I actually know what I'm talking about. But immigrant background does not help. It's really hard because I do have an accent, just like all of us do. It's not, English is not my first language, and even people from our background, from our countries, they only gonna hire you knowing that you're very, very experienced. They're not gonna hire you just knowing that you're from their country. Absolutely not. They're gonna look for the most experienced agent in the area. And I start winning people from back of our countries only after I became very successful and recognizable. Before that, I climbed up.
Interesting.
Yeah, I climbed up on my career with foreigners, with Americans, a lot of Hispanic community. So these people are the first people who hired me, not people from our country. People from our country are very careful. We have a mentality that everyone is trying to scam us, right? Especially if it's somebody from our culture. So they need to know that you're very experienced. And then the fact that you speak their language comes as convenience for them after. But actually people from post-Soviet countries start hiring me after I became successful, not before.
Interesting.
That's interesting advice. It's definitely interesting. I was thinking, knowing, having the cultural background, from, you grew up in you were born in one country, you grew up in different country, you speak multiple languages, maybe that helps. But again, you mentioned a good point that, we have a mindset, being immigrant, we have a certain mindset, and that mindset may not always work here. You have to always be very flexible, like opportunity to learn. If it's there, you really need to grasp it, and that's great. And I wanted to actually just go back. I know you mentioned earlier that you were going to talk, so I'm going to mention it to you. You said this experience is working as a real estate as an agent. 10 years is time where the experience matters, right? So more than 10 years is going to be like different versus 10 years. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that? So on that topic thing you mentioned.
So basically, when you get a license, you don't know anything. You don't even know how to write contract. Like the license doesn't teach you how to write contract or how the transaction works. The license gives you a basic knowledge of laws, of math, how to calculate mortgage, of uh, of measurements, how to measure the lot. That's basically the knowledge you get when you get a license. The license does not teach you how to write a contract. The license does not teach you how to amend the contract, how to write the addendum. That's the hard part comes. You come to the office as a single agent, no one is willing to teach you. No one wants to spend time with you. Or there is a lot of agents who don't want to share with you. You know, they don't want to spend time and teach you. I do teach agents, but I have to tell you, hundreds of agents asking me to teach them something, right? And at that point, I can't handle it anymore. So I say you have to go to someone else who's not so busy, so they can sit down and teach you, because it's a lot of to teach. That's where I got lucky. That's where I got lucky, because my husband was in a business and he had a loop of people that he knew, and they were willing to teach me. So that's very important to get it. That's why I highly recommend for people to get into team, because you don't hunt money at that point, hunt knowledge. What I did in the first 3 years, first of all, why people cancel their licenses very often? Because it's very expensive career. You have to pay a lot of fees upfront without even making money. So I calculated, and when I became a realtor in Virginia first. I'm licensed right now, Virginia, Maryland, and DC. So my expense was $4,000 a year. Imagine I was a realtor for 12 months and I spent $4,000. That's at the minimum after I became a realtor. And I was like, wow, I spent $4,000. I didn't close a single transaction. Like, that's a lot of money. And then next year comes, I have to spend another $4,000. And I told myself, do I want it? Actually, I was trying to cancel my license for 3 years. I was trying to give up on it just because of the fees. Fees are so much, and you have, depends on what company you're with, but every single company charges you office fee for you to come to the office, for use their printer, like to call that place office. So I had $75 office fee every month. And I'm like, oh, I don't even close, and I'm paying. So the fees are dropping if you want to be a realtor. You cannot have access to the market. We have MLS system where we have access. You cannot have access to it unless you pay for it. And you cannot provide anything to your client unless you have access to that system. Then you cannot have access to the documents we have for different states unless you pay for it. We have a special locks for the realtors that opens the doors. So you cannot get access to this log until you pay separate fee. So it's all those separate fees. That's what,
a lot of fees.
Yeah, that's what hits you as soon as you get a license, and you're like, wow, nobody told me about it. I thought it's just license and I'm a realtor. No, nobody without with the license. You have to pay all these fees. And imagine when you're not producing, that's like, so that was my mindset. I'm like, okay, that's an expensive hobby. You know, some people collect money, some people do. That's gonna be, because that's how I set up my mind. That's my expensive hobby. And what I did slowly, I first took a contract and I made sure I knew contract word by word. I understand a lot. I see a lot of realtors, they have a client and they don't know how to write contract for them. And I always talk to myself, I always try to be, who would I hire? I always think about who would I hire? And I don't want to be that realtor. I don't want to hire a realtor who doesn't know a contract, right? So that's how my mindset works. So I sat down and I broke contract into paragraphs. So I actually cut each paragraph from the contract and I start understanding each paragraph. What is it talking about? What is it about? Like right now, I know every single word in any contract you give me. But that's basically what it takes time. It takes time for you to at least deliver a minimum to your client. And the first thing people do, that's why I mentioned that if you desperately need money, that career is not for you, because you can't deliver immediately as a realtor as soon as you're licensed. You can't deliver anything to a client. It takes time to learn that stuff, and it's a lot. So that's basically it. For the first 3 years, for the first 12 months, I did not close a deal. I closed my first deal in 12 months. And in 12 months, I closed one deal. I made $200 out of this deal, even though the house was very expensive, just because I owed so much money on fees. That's basically, I had to pay office fees, I had to pay mentor, because when you're new realtor, they're not gonna let you close on your own transaction. You have to pay your mentor 50%. So I basically didn't make anything. And I sat down and I said, do I want it? It was so stressful. Like 1.5 months of my life is gone. And I don't know how many years is gone. I'm probably gonna die sooner because of that, because it was very hard transaction. And then at the end of that transaction, I didn't even make money, right? So I said, okay, that's fine. It's covered your fees. Go for the next year. Try next year. In a second year, I closed two transactions. Two transactions don't make you living. I again was one transaction I covered all my fees. Was the second transaction I made a little bit. I said, okay, that's a bonus check. That's how I got, like, I had a job. I had a full-time job. I worked for the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. That was my career. I had a very good salary. I couldn't complain. And all this time I was doubting, do I want it? Do I want to do it? Or like, why am I doing it? So that's why mindset as a hobby, but I was not happy in the office life. That was my biggest challenge. I was not happy going from 8 to 5, not seeing sun, sitting in the office in front of computer all the time. And I was trying to get away from that. So basically, before I start making money, to call it salary, past 5 years. For the first 5 years, I was not making enough to make it, to call it salary. Right now, if you guys want to know how much I make, I'm even afraid to say I make a lot of money, more than President of the United States. not
Congratulations.
Yeah. So
Not the current,
it's
the
really
future president.
rewarding.
What is it?
No, actually, so talking about money, you just brought probably segue, right? Maybe my probably last question, maybe Anwar has more questions, but my question is, so, assuming the person is starting the career from the beginning, I know it's depending on the location, depending on the house, what is expectation? What kind of money can they make? I mean, at the beginning, I know you kind of gave an explanation, but if they work full time, let's say they work 60 hours a week, right? Not 40, which is office. Let's say they completely devote their time. They're young. They aspire to be successful. How much can they bring home at the end of the year, the first year?
Well, I gotta tell that real estate is a full-time job. It's no joke, not part-time job. It's just not part-time job. That's why I was not successful for so long, is because I tried to collaborate two jobs together. Real estate is more than full-time job. That's why if you want to produce in real estate, you have to devote yourself 100%. There is no scale on how much they can make, because they can make calls and look for clients. It's all about client conversion. I can tell you that a lot of people come my way, but it's an experience of convert customer into client, like of them wanting to hire you as a realtor. So a lot of people work full time, take it as a full time for 2-3 years, and they still not producing anything. It's not about ours. It's about personality. It's about your voice. It's about your voice 100%. It's about a lot of things. It's about meetings, how you can convert. So there's agents who work full times and they come to the office and they sit on unemployment and they sit on food stamps. And there's agents who work full times and they make lots of money, lots more than person can imagine. But the median salary of realtors nationwide is $35,000 a year. I don't make $35,000 a year. I make much more than that. And basically, it's not about full time. It's about really is how you can work out this career. It's not, but it's full time. Yeah, you have to do only that job if you want to be successful. I know somebody who was a manager at the restaurant for a long time, and then he became a realtor. He's extremely successful right now. He's closing about 50 transactions a year. That's a lot. Just for you to understand, in general, realtor closes 5-6 transactions a year. To close 50 transactions a year for one realtor is a lot. I would never think I'm gonna be there. Never. I'm
Five-
like, no, that's not about me. That's only Americans can do. They have connections, they have lawyers, they have doctors, they know a lot of rich people. That's why they're so successful. No, that's not the truth. That's not. Once you have knowledge, once you know what you're doing, people want to hire you because they see that in you. Right now, I go to the interviews. A lot of people, when they want to sell their houses, they don't interview just one realtor. They interview at least 5 realtors, right? They want to pick the right one. Good luck to the realtor who's going to come behind me because they're going to hire me. I know that because I bring in knowledge. I know how to sell homes. So, but the salaries, yeah, in the beginning, nothing fun with the salaries. But if you're going to dig into that business and if you're going to know what you're doing and if you're going to see people hiring you, you're going to make over 200,000 plus, I would say.
So last year you sold 70. This year you sold how many, you said?
Well, this year goes to 90. And I actually work less than compared to last year. It's just because I put that time management.
Yeah, you mentioned, yes. So you're more efficient this year, I guess, right? You spend less time, you spend more time with your family, and you close looks like 70 versus 90, right? So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought last year was impossible. Last year I thought, no, impossible. Like you cannot sell even one more property than I did.
I was surprised to hear you said 5, 6, 5. Some people sell 5, 6 in a year. It's nothing though, right? I mean, that's
actually a very good number. If you sell 5, 6 properties a year, you can call yourself full-time agent. If you did, because a lot of people close 5, 6 properties. It's actually not slow agents for closing 5, 6 properties a year. What I'm closing is very unusual, very unusual. It's not happening.
So it really seems like there's a widespread, I mean, you're mentioning some agents that have to go for food stamps. The national average is 35, but people can, if you're very successful, you can easily go about 200. So it seems like there's a broad distribution, and it really depends on how hard you work and how good of a fit it is. I think that's the feeling I get, that it has to be a good fit. You really, if you really like this job, you can succeed. You have to learn the trade, as they say. So I think so far, we don't want to take advantage of your hospitality. It's been a very fruitful, I think, insightful discussion so far. We really hope our viewers learned a lot about the difficulties of becoming a real estate agent. I think they have probably a more realistic attitude towards it. It's not something like, you go and start selling houses in, tens of houses. So I think this was very useful in that sense. Thank you very much. And to our viewers and subscribers, please let us know how we're doing, what kind of topics you would want us to talk about in the future.
Thank you, Anwar. Thank you, Dilyara, for being here. So for those viewers and listeners who have questions to Dilyara, we're gonna, in the description of the video or the podcast, we're gonna provide Dilyara's social network like address, like on the Facebook or on Instagram, and then so you guys can ask questions or can let her know that you're interested on buying house or selling house. So she will help you out in Virginia, Maryland, and DC area. For our regular viewers, we appreciate you being with us, and continue to follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Provide your comments. Like Anwar mentioned, share your feedback. What are you interested to learn more? And until then, I guess we say goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dilyara. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.